left last night, I was struggling.
I was practically in tears. Finally, at 1:30, I took some oxycodone. After about an hour, it helped. Last night nice though? Oh yeah, it was a lovely service. Good. Very, very nice service. Yes. How many people were here? And there were 30. I was gonna say 25. Nice. Yeah.
People were dancing.
It was a nice turnout. Was Shelley here? Was she the staff person?
No.
There was somebody here who was, a photographer.
Yeah, apparently, like Federation. Oh, okay.
Oh, I see, here's the map he posted.
Yeah.
Return to port in Longyearbyen, I'm sure you don't say it that way.
That's a shame they didn't see many polar bears. Yeah, but my impression of it was there as well, was that that was like going to be one of the main wildlife you would see. They'll be home Thursday night. Okay. Tomorrow they're flying to, tomorrow evening, they're flying to Copenhagen, and then they'll be staying with Jordan and Victoria until Thursday.
But from here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I haven't even been home for days. I went to New York on Thursday, Corey and I, and then yesterday Remy came in for the day. And then tonight I'm going out with some friends, and tomorrow's the Broad Street run in the rain.
Are you doing that?
I'm just walking, but it's gonna be awful weather. I'm doing it with a girlfriend, so I can't back out.
You know, maybe she's thinking the same thing.
No, I asked her. My friend's daughter and son-in-law are supposed to be doing it. My friend's daughter is not an enthusiastic runner. It's her husband who's really the big runner. She agreed to do it with her husband if he would agree to run with her. Okay. Not at his own pace. But she also inserted the caveat, if it's raining, I ain't doing it. Yeah, it's gonna be so they the whole time. I said to my friend, I thought it's not supposed to rain again until Wednesday tomorrow. No, according to mine. They're now saying, yeah, tomorrow morning. Yeah, this temperature is so I'm not excited at all. Yeah. Normally one like that's so hot all the time, complaining about being so hot all the time. But I think partly it's because my appetite is so. I weighed myself a few days ago. I've lost 19 pounds. Wow, that's a great, well, diet. Yeah, yeah. But I can say like the same as my mother said about chemotherapy. She used to say, if anyone recommends it as a diet plan, say, I'm gonna try it. She did not care for it, so say no thank you. I can say 3 surgeries in 18 months. Say no thank you. It's not a good diet. No, I agree. But it means like I haven't had to go grocery shopping since Jerry left. That's good. I'm eating so little that what I have is just less. Do you happen to see the announcements?
Um,
Cindy,
so, Kareem was holding the sheet in her hands, and so either she left it on the table and someone took it, or she brought it with her somewhere.
Okay, I'll
Put it
just
away.
read something. Okay. Emails.
Yeah, they're here.
There.
Oh, they're there, okay. You can just leave it there, it's fine.
That there seems to be a problem with the chat on the live stream. It's just, at least I've tried with 2 different browsers, and both of them say chat has ended.
Anybody want to vote? I hardly do. Want to vote? Sure.
Oh, yes, thank you. Mark, you want to vote? Sure. Beautiful picture.
Did Daniel post another one, or is that may be one of his travel things?
Yeah, one of the
Yeah.
Eric's motion.
Yeah. There's 2 guys mentioned, and I looked at each of their profiles, they're both like from New Jersey, one's a retired physician who's 81, and the other one is who's 76. He has been in really good shape to do what he does. And he also has to be pretty fast. It's very
Maya Fehayom, Shabbat Shalom. Maya Fehayom, Shabbat Shalom. Maya Fehayom, Shabbat Shalom. Maya Fehayom. Page 101. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Maya Fehayom. Shabbat, Shalom. Maya Fehayom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Welcome to all of you who are here with us in the sanctuary, and welcome to those of you who are with us online. We're having a little challenge with the chat this morning, apparently, on our side. So if the chat is working where you are, great. If you're not interested, doesn't matter. And, and if it's not working, you're not alone. It's not working here either. So Mark's been trying to access the chat from a couple of different browsers, and it has not been working. So those of you who are used to Mark saying Shabbat Shalom and writing messages in the chat, please don't take it personally. He's just not able to do it technologically for some reason. So we'll report that, we'll get on that, and we'll make sure it's fixed at some point. So regardless, Shabbat Shalom and welcome. Thank you for choosing to share Shabbat with us online, and also, as I mentioned, in person. I want to welcome our Bema guest in the sanctuary, Rhonda Cohen, who is a member of the Board of Trustees, and so we'll hear from her in a little while with some exciting news about incredible ways to get a sense of community here at congregation with our congregation in our building and elsewhere. And at this point, we'll continue on page 102 at the top of the page. Oh, for those of you who are maybe with us and for the first time, or maybe since a long time, and not perhaps aware of exactly where to find the PDF of our prayer book, because the chat isn't working, you can't just click on it. So the address is Siddur, S-I-D-D-U-R, Siddur. That's the transliteration of the Hebrew word Siddur, which means prayer book. Siddur.tba livestream, all one word, TBALIVESTREAM, Siddur.tbalivestream.info, I-N-F-O. siddur.tbalivestream.info. And if you do access that PDF file for the prayer book, please know that page numbers that are announced refer to the book's page number, not the PDF file page number. That'll make it.
No, you gotta use siddur.tbazoom.info.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Goes to the same place, but so it's siddur.tbazoom.info, right? TBA livestream. Right, TVA livestream.info has been retired. So it's siddur.tbazoom.info. I apologize for the confusion. And so it's siddur.tbazoom.info. siddur.tbazoom.info. Page numbers, same deal. Page numbers refer to the book's page numbers, not to the PDF file page numbers. So with that, page 102 at the top, God of dawn and dusk, open my eyes to the beauty of the world and its goodness. Let me be the servant of your peace, which brings all life together, the love of mother and child, the beauty, the loyalty of friends, and the companionship of animal and human. As I awaken to the world you have made, I know this harmony again and your presence in it. With all creation, I respond with praise and give thanks to your name. Amen. Together, each of us enters this sanctuary with a different need. Some hearts are full of gratitude and joy. They are overflowing with the happiness of love and the joy of life. They are eager to confront the day, to make the world more fair. They are recovering from illness or have escaped misfortune, and we rejoice with them. Some hearts ache with sorrow. Disappointments weigh heavily upon them, and they have tasted despair. Families have been broken, loved ones lie on a bed of pain. Death has taken those whom they cherished. May our presence and sympathy bring them comfort. Some hearts are embittered. They have sought answers in vain. Ideals are mocked and betrayed. Life has lost its meaning and value. May the knowledge that we too are searching restore their hope and give them courage to believe that not all is emptiness. Some spirits hunger. They long for friendship. They crave understanding. They yearn for warmth. May we, in our common need and striving, gain strength from one another as we share our joys, lighten each other's burdens, and pray for the welfare of our community. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkanotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkanotecha Yisrael. Va'ani merov chastecha avovetecha eshtachaveh el heichal kodshecha be'yiratecha. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkanotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkanotecha Yisrael. Adonai ahavti me'on beitecha, umkol mishkan kevodecha. Va'ani eshtachaveh ve'echra'a evrecha lifnei Adonai osi. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkanotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkanotecha Yisrael. Va'ani tefilati lecha, Adonai et ratzon. Elohim berov chasdecha, aneni be'emet yish'echa. Ma tovu Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. You hallow us with the gift of Torah and command us to immerse ourselves in its words. Eternal our God, make the words of your Torah sweet to us and to the house of Israel, your people, that we and our children may be lovers of your name and students of your Torah. We praise you, O God, teacher of Torah to your people, Israel. Elu divarim she'en lahem shior, Elu divarim she'en lahem shior, Elu divarim she'en lahem shior, ve'elu hein. Elu divarim she'en lahem shior, Elu divarim she'en lahem shior, Elu divarim she'en lahem shior, ve'elu hein. Kibud avaim, ugmilut chasadim, v'hashkamat beit hamidrash, shacharit ve'arvit. Elu divarim she'en lahem shior, Elu divarim she'en lahem shior, Elu divarim she'en lahem shior, ve'elu hein. Ve'hachnasat orchim, uvikor cholim, ve'hachnasat kala, ulvayat hamet, ve'iyun tfilah, ve'iyun tfilah, v'havaat shalom, bein adam lachavero, v'talmud Torah keneged kulam, 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 v'talmud Torah keneged kulam. Page 106. The soul that you have given me, O God, is pure. You created it. You formed it. You breathed it into me. And within me, you sustain it. So long as I have breath, therefore, I will give thanks to you, my God and the God of all ages, source of all being, loving guide of every human spirit. We praise you, O God, in whose hands are the souls of all the living and the spirits of all flesh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lasech vivina lehavchin ben yom uvein laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani ben chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tokef kfufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael bigvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael b'tifara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten laya'ef koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hama'avir sheina me'enai utnuma me'afapai. Eternal One, our God and God of all ages, school us in your Torah, bind us to your mitzvot, help us to keep far from sin, to master temptation, and to avoid falling under its spell. May our darker passions not rule us, nor evil companions lead us astray. Strengthen in us the voice of conscience, prompt us to deeds of goodness, and bend our every impulse to your service, so that this day and always we may know your love and the goodwill of all who behold us. We praise you, O God. You bestow love and kindness on your people Israel. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach hirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala, ba'agala, uvizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi shemei rabbah mevarach, le'olam ula'olmei almaya, yitbarach, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar, v'yit'aleh, v'yithalal, shemei dekudesha, barichu, le'elam bin kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru. Amen. In body, mind, or spirit, we rise for the Baruch. Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. You may be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvorei choshech, oseh shalom uvorei et hakol, hameir la'aretz veladarim aleha berachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reishit. Ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam b'chochma asita, mal'ah ha'aretz kinyanecha. Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu, al shebach ma'aseh yadecha, ve'al me'ore or she'asita ifa'arucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, yotzer ha'me'orot. Ahava rabba ahavtanu, Adonai Eloheinu, chemla gedola v'tera, chamalta aleinu. Avinu malkeinu, ba'avor avotenu, shebatchu v'cha, Avinu malkeinu. Vatelamdem chukei chaim, kein techonenu utlamdenu, Avinu ha'av harachaman, hamrachem rachem aleinu. v'tein belibenu lehavin ulhaskil lishmoa, lilmod ulelamed, lishmor velasot, ulkayem et kol divrei Talmud Torah techa bi'ahava, v'ha'er einenu b'toratecha, v'dabek libeinu b'mitzvotecha, v'yached levavenu le'ahava u'yir'a et shemecha, v'lo nevosh le'olam va'ed, v'lo nevosh le'olam va'ed, ki v'shem kodshecha hagadol v'hanora batachnu, nagila v'nismecha b'shuatecha. כי אל פועל ישועות אתה, ובנו בחרת, וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול, סלע באמת, להודות לך ולייחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה, אדוני, הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, Adonai, Adonai Echad, Baruch, Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod, Malchuto, Leolam, Leolam Vahed, Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, B'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha, uv'chol meodecha, V'hayu hadivarim ha'ele, Asher anochi mitzavcha, Hayom halevavecha, V'shinantam levanecha, V'dibarta bam, B'shivtecha b'veitecha, Uv'lechtecha v'derech, Uv'shochbecha, Uv'kumecha, Ukshartam le'ot al yadecha, V'hayu letotafot ben einecha, Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, Uv'ish'arecha, Leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai, V'hitem kedoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, lihyot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Page 112. Eternal truth it is that you alone are God, and there is none else. May all the world rejoice in your love and exult in your justice. Let them beat their swords into plowshares. Let them beat their spears into pruning hooks. Let nation not lift up sword against nation. Let them study war no more. You shall not hate another in your heart. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Let the stranger in your midst be to you as the native, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. From the house of bondage we went forth to freedom. So let all be free to sing with joy. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef ele, nora tehilot osef ele. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Shira chadasha shimchu geulim leshimcha al sfat hayam. Yachad kulam hodu vehimlichu ve'amru. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Tzur Yisrael, kuma be'ezrat Yisrael, ufdeichinu mecha Yehuda ve'Yisrael. Go aleinu Adonai tziva'ot shemo, Kedosh Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. In body, mind, or spirit, we rise for the tefillah, page 114. Adonai sefatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, ve'Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'Koneh Hakol, Ve'Zocher Chasdei Avot ve'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'Nehem, Lema'an Shemo B'Yahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Rav le'Hoshia. Nechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim ve'rofeh cholim, Umatir asurim. Umkayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot umido melach, melech memit umchayeh umatzmiach Yeshua, vene'eman atah lachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, Keshem shemakdishim oto b'shmei marom, Kakatuv al yad neviecha, V'kara ze el ze ve'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Meloch kol haaretz kevodo. Adir adirenu Adonai Adonenu ma'adir shimcha b'chol haaretz. Baruch kevod Adonai mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu, vehu Yashmienu, berachamav le'enei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai leolam, Elohayich Tzion, ledor vador. Hallelujah. Ledor vador nagid god lecha, ulnetzach netzachim kedushatcha nakdish, v'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. To all generations we will make known your greatness, and to all eternity proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. We praise you, Eternal One, the Holy God. You may be seated together at the top of page 118. Those who keep the Sabbath and call it a delight shall rejoice in your deliverance. All who hallow the seventh day shall be gladdened by your goodness. This day is Israel's festival of the Spirit, sanctified and blessed by you, the most precious of days, a symbol of the joy of creation. Our God, God of our fathers and our mothers, may our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us with your mitzvot, and let your Torah be our way of life. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, eternal God, let your holy Sabbath remain our heritage, that all Israel, hallowing your name, may find rest and peace. We praise you, O God, for the Sabbath and its holiness. We give thanks for the freedom that is ours, and we pray for those in other lands who are persecuted and oppressed. Help them to bear their burdens, and keep alive in them the love of freedom and the hope of deliverance. Uphold also the hands of our brothers and sisters in the land of Israel. Cause a new light to shine upon Zion and upon us all, that the time may come when your Torah will go forth from the house of Israel, your word from the tents of Jacob. We praise you, our God, whose presence gives life to our people Israel. We thank you, God, for the blessings in our lives. So we take a moment now to consider those blessings and perhaps even to share those blessings. So if you are feeling blessed this morning and have something you'd like to allow us to share with you in terms of feeling blessed as well, please do so.
I'm grateful that Jerry and Daniel are now back on land and we can video chat with each other.
No, absolutely. That Jerry and Daniel are back on land. That's great. Yeah, in fact, I forgot to mention last night, I was going to say that while you couldn't tell, I mean, we didn't use any of Jerry's pictures in last night's. I don't believe. Was there? Oh, that's right. Okay, there were. I felt. That's also, yeah, there were more than I thought. Yeah, that's exactly right. So, but I didn't mention that during the service. No pictures of polar bears. Not yet. We did have icebergs from Antarctica in other services, but not. Rhonda.
So on May 16th, Jerry will be doing a travelogue about Norway for us.
Thankful to Jerry for sharing his experiences and photographs.
And I want to say thank you, especially to Corinne and Rabbi.
Thank you. Yeah, last night's. Yeah, 75 years of Israel. Thanks to Corinne for coordinating everything with the Federation to make last night happen and be open to the community. And I had a blast exploring and finding music and things. During the course of the week, on the rabbinic discussion group, someone put out a message saying, when Harry Belafonte died, I remembered this song that he sang that was from Arik Einstein, and Arik Einstein is kind of like a Bruce Springsteen, Billy Joel type in Israel, if you will, and so about I don't know 8 or 9 rabbis responded saying, it's not Arik Einstein. He's just one of the many people who covered it. It's actually a poem by Natan Alterman and the music by and all this information. And Harry Belafonte is just one of many people who covered it. And so, but it just so happened that I was able to find that link. So, yeah, wasn't that cool? Yeah. He's got a very good Hinemato. Just sitting there doing Adon Olam with Danny Kaye, yeah. Interestingly enough, one of my colleagues put out a message with, and if you want the link to the article, just send me a message and I'll send it to you, or you can look for it yourself. In the forward, just yesterday, I think, they did an article about why Harry Belafonte sang so many Hebrew and Jewish songs. And so he was not. One of his grandparents was like Dutch Jew or something like that. But if you send me an email message, I will send you the link, or you might be able to find it yourself. It's in the forward, and it's a great article. So.
He taught me Hava Nagila. I didn't know that.
You learned Hava Nagila from Harry Belafonte. That's funny. Sorry.
Everybody sings Hava Nagila.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. That's covered by more people than. That's well, Alan Sherman did his own twist, Harvey and Sheila, but yeah. Well, in my family, my dad's cousin Gilda was married to Harvey, so and Gilda and Uncle Harvey, so we sing Harvey and Gilda. But anyway, so for all the things that we've mentioned out loud, for all the things you may be saying out loud at home, reminding yourselves of your own blessings, we share this prayer of thanksgiving together. On page 121, we read together. We gratefully acknowledge that you are our God and the God of our people, the God of all generations. You are the rock of our life, the power that shields us in every age. We thank you and sing your praises for our lives, which are in your hand, for our souls, which are in your keeping, for the signs of your presence we encounter every day, and for your wondrous gifts at all times, morning, noon, and night. You are goodness, your mercies never end. You are compassion, your love will never fail. You have always been our hope. Praised be the eternal God, to whom our thanks are due. Sim shalom tova uvracha, sim shalom tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim. Sim shalom tova uvracha, sim shalom tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha, sim shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha, sim shalom. Sim shalom tova uvracha, sim shalom tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim. Sim shalom tova uvracha, sim shalom tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim. Baruch atah Adonai, HaMevarech et Amo Yisrael b'shalom. We praise you, O God, who blesses your people Israel with peace. We think now of those in our family, our circle of friends, our congregation, our community at large, people who are in need of healing and in need of prayers for healing. They are broken in one way or another, and so they search for a sense of shlemut, of wholeness, of completeness, a refuah shlema, a complete healing, refuat haguf, of body, refuat nefesh, of soul, of mind, of spirit. We also think of those who care for those in need of healing, wishing for them insight and wisdom and skill. We think of those who care about those in need of healing, wishing for them endurance and strength and courage. We think especially this week of those from our congregational family, Bela Fega Bat Abba Uzlata, Bill Bly, Gaylord Conquest, Barbara Foreman, Bobby Locke, Steve Matzner, Lois Miller, Jay Peck, Felicia Robbins, John Rose, Bill Schneider, Lois Snyder, Sharon Stein, Velvel Ben Avraham, Pete Walsh. If you are thinking of someone who is in need of healing and in need of prayers for healing, and they would like for their name to be shared at this moment, please share it with us. So as we think of all the people whose names were mentioned out loud, and perhaps more names that may remain in our own hearts and minds, we share this prayer for healing. This morning we'll do version number two, and after we sing our prayer for healing, we'll continue with silent prayer. Mi sheberach avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Mi sheberach imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May the pain and loneliness we're feeling be diminished by the power of your love. Mi sheberach avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Mi sheberach imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. We pray silently. Yehiyu liratzon, imrefi, vehegyon libi lefanecha. Yehiyu liratzon, imrefi, vehegyon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, vegoali. Adonai tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Begoali, Yehiu leratzon, Imre fi, Vehegyon libi lefanecha, Yehiu leratzon, Imre fi, Vehegyon libi lefanecha. Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Begoali. Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Begoali. We are doubly blessed this week with a double Torah portion. So I want to share with you something about the second of the two portions, and then some thoughts about the first portion that came to mind as I was reviewing this piece from a million years ago. It was written in May of 2008, a long time ago, by someone who many of us have interacted with, Rabbi David Gutterman. And this is what he wrote about Kedoshim. He writes, the mind is numb to even think it, the heart aches to hear it, the hand quivers to write it, and the ink in the well is depleted, so it really can't be written, but it was written nonetheless. Rabbi Menachem Mendel, known to the Jewish world as the Kotzker Rebbe, made the following observation. This week's Torah portion begins with the expression Kedoshim Tihiyu, you shall be holy, and concludes with the words Demehem Bam, their blood on them. Even if they come to take your life and spill your blood, he taught, remain holy and do not renounce your Jewishness. Remain holy and do not attenuate your connection to your faith. Remain holy and do not sever your bond with your people. As I write these words, it is the eve of Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Memorial Day, the day that commemorates the period in which the unspeakable was articulated at Wannsee and the unthinkable was executed at Auschwitz, Bergen-Belsen, and Treblinka. And how does our tradition refer to Jews who were murdered and slaughtered for the one venial sin of being a Jew? They are referred to as Kedoshim, the holy ones. Allow me to share a story that was witnessed and recorded for posterity. In one of the camps, a Nazi brute took an elderly Jew, cut off his payas, his side locks, and tortured him and humiliated him, and then threw him against the wall. And the Nazi raised his gun to shoot, but noticed that the Jew was mumbling something under his breath. This sadist, no doubt diabolically intrigued, thought that the Jew was probably cursing God and accursing his lot as being a member of the Jewish people. Wanting to further humiliate him before murdering him, the Nazi said, Jew, what are you saying? The Jew responded back, Ich sagte a bracha, I am making a blessing. What blessing did he say? Thank you, God, shalo asani goy, that you have not made me into the animal that this Nazi has become, but rather, if I am to die, I die as a human being and as a proud and affirming Jew. With that, this Jew became one of the 6 million Kedoshim, holy martyrs. But Kedoshim Tihiyu means much more. Suffer me a final story, and yes, one recorded for posterity by an eyewitness. On one of the bunks in Auschwitz, a man was about to breathe his last. He asked that a rabbi who was in his bunk counsel him. This is more or less what transpired. Rabbi, the man said, I have not been a particularly religious Jew. I never went to synagogue to pray, and I barely give my allotted portion to tzedakah. But Rabbi, at the very least, I beg you, teach me how to die as a Jew. The rabbi pondered and considered and finally responded, Mein Teire Yid, my dear precious fellow Jew, there is only one sure way to die as a Jew, and that is to live as a Jew. Was this the end of the story? No. The man bemoaned his fate until the rabbi further taught him, your son, who is here with us in the camps, will be your living legacy if God does not give you any more opportunity to live as a Jew, then you can guide and goad your son to live as a faithful Jew. And so it was. We are not Job and dare not respond as if we were, writes Dr. Eliezer Berkovitz in his masterful Faith After the Holocaust. We are only Job's brother. My friends, the only thing left for us to do is to remember and to dignify, to live and to sanctify. The generation of the Shoah was a generation of Kiddushim, even unto death. We, their children and grandchildren, must be the generation of Kiddushim to you, especially in life. By living a full, rich, participatory, and engaged Jewish life, loving the land of Israel, the people in their resplendent mosaic, and the Torah and texts of that people, we will continue to not merely survive, but thrive. Am Yisrael Chai. Shabbat Shalom. David. So it made me think, that, I've done a lot of funerals in my time, and I've worked with, spent some time with people who are approaching death, nearing death, some just contemplating death from afar, and more often than you might imagine, even if you imagine it happening often, people are concerned about, not concerned, but I guess the right word is, self-imposed kind of guilt about, I wish, I'm sorry I don't come more often, as if they're apologizing to me. I'm sorry I'm not more this. I'm not really, of course, when someone says, I'm sorry I don't come to synagogue more often, I always, reassure them I'm not even there every week, right? So it's not like, but sometimes after the fact, and I think one of the reasons why is because, and I was just talking with someone about this in another context just this past week, that certain things, you learn information in school and class, it's information. You can't go to algebra without pre-algebra. You got to learn addition before you can do algorithms, right? This basic stuff you have to know, and you know the progression, and then once you get somewhere, you're not thinking addition when you're doing calculus necessarily, but it's part of how you function. It becomes how you approach whatever subject it is that you're approaching. But with Judaism, while that's still true, it's not necessarily as tangible. When we're approaching some situation from a Jewish perspective, we don't always realize it's a Jewish perspective. We're not always thinking about, is it a Jewish perspective? We're not always, one of the questions I like to talk with bar mitzvah students about is, excuse me, in the Torah, it says that if you have a big open pit in your yard, you're required to put a fence around the pit because, accident waiting to happen, right? If you have something that's dangerous to someone else, you have to make it known because that's your responsibility. It's not up to someone else to not hurt themselves by something that's dangerous that's yours. So then I asked the bar mitzvah student, do you know anyone with a big open pit in their yard? And usually they say no. And then I say, well, what about a big open pit that has a lot of water in it that you splash around in during the summer? And they go, oh, like a swimming pool? Like, exactly like a swimming pool. And then eventually they say, oh yeah, I know someone with a pool. We have a pool, someone has a pool. And then I say, well, is there a fence around the pool or around the yard in which the pool is located? And they'll say yes. And I say, well, that's because whoever wrote swimming pool laws clearly must have read the Torah. Or, well, maybe they didn't read the Torah, but it's not a new idea, right? This has been guiding Jewish thought for years and years and years. Then I talked to them about the story in the Talmud about, if you're wandering in the wilderness with a companion and you have enough water for one person to survive, but your companion doesn't have any water at all, what do you do with your water? And then sometimes they'll say, well, I give it to my friend. Oh, so you die. Well, then I'd share it. Oh, so you both die. Because remember, it's only enough for one person, right? And so the rabbis go through all the what-ifs, and the general consensus is you drink your own water. Because amongst all the what-ifs is that, maybe the person who doesn't have water, it could be that they're irresponsible, could be they're careless, Could be they're just not as, not as aware, they weren't thinking. Could be that they're so ill that they need more than their allotted portion. So there are many reasons that could be the reason why you still have water. The fact that you still have water means you're probably in a better position to be of help to that person if you continue to use the water. So you have to help yourself, not because it's all about you, but you help yourself so that you can be in a position to help others. It's about putting yourself in the right frame of mind, the right frame of reference. And then I ask them, have you ever flown anywhere on an airplane? And most of them say yes. And then I say, well, before the plane takes off, they go through this whole safety speech. And one of the things they say is, in the unlikely event of a water landing, unlike the event of a loss of oxygen masks will appear in front of you. If you're traveling with someone who needs assistance, and then I ask them if they know what comes next, and they all say, well, we put your mask on first. I'm like, how selfish. And so they go, well, yeah, you'd think you'd want to help. So I said, why not? So then we relate it back to this story from the Talmud, and I say, clearly, whoever wrote the oxygen mask speech for the plane must have read the Talmud. Or, well, maybe they didn't, but it's not a new idea. It's been guiding Jewish thought for thousands of years. You may just be learning about this now, but this is what our people have been doing. This is how we approach the world. That's the kind of stuff we learn. So Judaism is about, at its very core, learning how to be a responsible citizen, a good citizen in the world, not just because it's nice to be nice, but there are bigger things and bigger reasons and greater ideas. And we don't always realize they're not so tangible. But just because they're not so tangible doesn't mean they're not as important, but it can lead to us not recognizing that importance more regularly than actually recognizing that importance. So it's easier to overlook sometimes. We skip a class, we skip whatever. Well, we just get a couple hours in here and there without kind of really thinking through all that goes into building and living a Jewish life. So people, I talk to people all the time, like I said, about looking back. And I talk to them exactly that idea about being the example that you want. That if you want someone to, if you want your grandchildren to know about Shabbat, don't tell them about Shabbat, invite them to do it with you. All right, and that's one of the most effective ways, because now they associate it with you, and it's not just something they should do, like here's how you throw a ball, here's how you light a candle. It's part of who you are. It's just what you do. And so the beginning of this double portion, Acharei Mot, is after the death of Nadav and Avihu, Aaron's sons, who were killed for offering alien fire, strange fire. And a lot of people focus on, what kind of reaction is that from God for what Nadav and Avihu did, and maybe what their sin was. Isn't if we take away God's response and we just look at what they did, clearly it wasn't what God wanted, and they did it anyway. Right? When I talk with families about mourning customs and rituals, when we enter a house of mourning, we're not allowed to engage the mourner in conversation, because 2,000 years ago the rabbis realized that when someone is in mourning, they may not want to talk. And so if we're supposed to be present in a helpful way, and we approach a mourner in an effort to be helpful and say something like, how are you? Sometimes that, especially when it's tragic, not especially, but in all sorts of situations, it's maybe not very helpful. And so when I talk with people who are in mourning, I say you have a couple of options at that point. You can lie and just say, I'm great. Or you could actually answer them because they asked you a question, right? Or you can acknowledge that they, are trying to do something nice, and you realize that, and just say, thank you for asking, I really appreciate it, and then you move on and change the conversation. But Jewish law says don't even ask in the first place. If the mourner wants to converse, they'll engage, and you can answer them, and you can have a conversation. But allow them to show you what they need. And again, the asking how are you, in and of itself, it's not a bad thing. It's really comes, I say to the mourners, what it means mostly is whoever is saying it is saying inside their heads, I feel like I have to say something, because that's what humans do. and I have no idea what to say, and so I'm just going to pick random words, and here they are, all right? You know, because they really are trying to do something nice. It's not that they're trying to do anything bad. So what that means is, on some level, even as enthusiastically we may want to be present for someone in a way that we see as helpful, we also have to be very kind of aware of what really is helpful. Knowing who we're approaching and who we're helping and how and why, meeting someone where they are, trying to figure out what it is they really need so we can help them in that way. So as interested as Nadav and Avihu may have been in kind of worshiping God and doing this thing, one of the things they perhaps missed was what was really asked for and what was needed and what was wanted and what, what they could have done differently to meet the requester, as it were, where they were asked to be. Again, doesn't mean they did something wrong. It just means that they didn't do exactly what the person or whoever God wanted them to do. So something to be aware about in terms of taking opportunities to kind of think, be more involved in different ways, to kind of let our sense of connectedness to our people, to our congregation, to our community, help us approach ways of feeling more connected and feeling more fulfilled in our lives. Anyway, a whole bunch of different thoughts kind of strung together. Wanted to share with you. So, speaking of sharing thoughts, I'm going to invite Rhonda Cohen to share with us some exciting thoughts about incredible things that we can do as a community to come together.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So let's see. The confirmation class, the 5th and 8th grade are going to New York. You going?
I'm not going.
That should be fun.
That should be fun.
9 a.m. religious school, 12 p.m. confirmation classes. Wednesday, 7:30 morning minyan, Zoom only. Thursday, May 4th, 12 noon, Torah study with Rabbi Lazar in person and Zoom, 1 to 6, Red Cross blood drive, and 7 p.m. management team. Friday, May 5th, 7 p.m. evening service with May birthdays and high school senior reception, recognition, save the date. Sunday, May 7th, 9 to 1, annual plant sale. Proceeds benefit the Powell Center for Lifelong Learning at TBA. That Corrine, those are your plants? Bob's plants. Yeah, mine always die, the tomato plants, but I'm gonna try again. Monday, May 8th, 6 p.m. Israel 75. Let's celebrate with a laugh at TBA in person only, sponsored by Adult Ed. Join us for a night of clean, clever stand-up comedy with Joel Chasnoff, suitable for all ages. Light snacks available. It's in person?
Yeah,
Is
so
he
Joel,
coming?
he's coming.
Oh, I love him.
So yeah, he's been here a couple of times in person. He's been on December 24th and 25th. That's when you guys saw him, and then he's been here for all kinds of things. He did a show right here in our sanctuary. He's also been online with us at the very beginning of the pandemic. He was one of the first Lunch and Learn folks online, and he was also one of the 2 keynote speakers, along with Admiral K, Steve Kentrowitz, at the first online graduation that I put together for the congregation. So, be exciting. So he's coming. Don't miss it.
Oh, I just think he's so funny. I read his book, too. Wednesday, May 17th, 7 p.m. Annual congregational meeting, light snacks at 6:30. May 20th, special Shabbat in the park celebrating Rabbi Lazar. You can RSVP to the event you recently received or Cindy in the main office. Thursday, May 25th, 7 p.m. Shavuot evening service led by 5783 confirmands, followed by Tikkun Leil Shavuot.
That's another thing.
That's another thing. No, go ahead.
Well, it's the next thing on your thing, but I'm gonna jump ship, and I'm gonna say it's a collaboration of small congregations across the continent with teachers from around the world. We'll be studying through the night every hour, a couple of different options available. And so this is all in the newsletter. So if you get the newsletter, great. If you don't, give us a call at the office and we'll share with you. So this is a preview of the May newsletter.
That's awesome. Okay, so, and then Friday, May 26th, Shavuot, TBA office is closed. 9 a.m. Shavuot, morning services with Yisker. Make sure you are counted in the TBA Capital Campaign. Information on our website and in the weekly announcements. Okay. That it?
That's
Did I
it.
miss
And then-
anything?
No, you said you wrote his book. You read his book. He's written a couple of books, and
Oh.
his most recent book is called Israel 201, that he wrote along with Benji Lovett, and it's called Israel 201: Your Next Level Guide to the Magic, Mystery, and Chaos of Life in the Holy Land. And Prime Minister Ehud Olmert said that it tells us about the Israel you didn't know you didn't know. And so Joel writes, why do Israelis go bike riding on Yom Kippur? What's a friar, and why are Israelis so afraid to be one? In Israel 201, we meet the real Israel behind the headlines: LGBTQ combat soldiers, Arab Israeli stand-up comics, medical clowns who fly to war zones overseas. Isn't it time we reframe the Israel conversation? So anyway.
I'm gonna go. I
Yeah.
don't know about the bike riding.
And then I think in the newsletter, there's a little graphic, and he's got it's a picture of like cars up on the sidewalk and in the street, all like, it's like traffic jam, and it says, "How did Israelis get to be so darn Israeli?" Anyway.
I'll go to that. Well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he was good during COVID. Yeah, that online. He got a lot of people at that. That was a lot of fun. So, of course, as I always say, we can't get there until we finish here. So, on page 148, Aleinu l'shabeach, in body, mind, or spirit, please rise. Page 148. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, latet gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kigoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבותה אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. You may be seated. Our thoughts turn now to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, let us meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. The contemplation of death should plant within the soul elevation and peace. Above all, it should make us see things in their true light. For all things which seem foolish in the light of death are really foolish in themselves. To be annoyed because someone has slighted us or has been somewhat more successful in social distinctions pulled himself somehow one rung higher up the ladder than ourselves? How ridiculous all this seems when we couple it with the thought of death. To pass each day simply and solely in the eager pursuit of money or fame, this also seems like living with shadows when one might take one's part with realities. Surely, when death is at hand, we should desire to say, I have contributed my grain to the great store of the eternal. I have borne my part in the struggle for goodness. And let no man or woman suppose that the smallest social act of goodness is wasted for society at large. All our help, whatever it be, is needed. And though we know not the manner, the fruit of every faithful service is gathered in. Though we know not the manner, the fruit of every faithful service is gathered in. Let the true and noble words of a great teacher ring in conclusion upon our ears. The growing good of the world is partly dependent on unhistoric acts, and that things are not so ill with you and me as they might have been, is half owing to the number who lived faithfully a hidden life and rest in unvisited tombs. However brief may be our time on earth, O God, you endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. We now recall the loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, and as we remember those who died at this season in years past, we take them into our hearts with our own. The following yahrzeits will be observed at some point during the coming week. This Shabbat, we remember Arthur Frank, father of Thelda Liebreich, Clara Cripps, grandmother of Chuck Fox, Lillian Singer, mother of Gary Singer, Bryna Sandra Lark, mother of Tivia Aslan, Florence Kramer, stepmother-in-law of Linda Kramer Kamens, David Rosenblum, son of Ruth Rosenblum, Samuel Felsenstein, father of Joan Shapiro and Steve Felsenstein, Shirley Tiger, mother of Faye Tiger Conquest, Gertrude Stenger, mother of Sheila Horowitz and Terry Weiss, Harry Simon, father of Lenore Bushlin, Louis Marco, grandfather of Jen Sherwood, great-grandfather of Nicole Sherwood, Lillian Foreman, grandmother of Sharon Foreman Toll, Edna Huckberg, mother of Janet Breskman, Sylvia Grossman, mother of Richard Grossman, Morris Schechtman, father of Corrine Hartwig, Linda Dickler, mother of Howard Delfiner, Dina Schneiderman, mother of Barbara Shriver, Adrian Berman, friend of Jeremy Wasserman. If you are mourning the loss of someone, observing a period of mourning, remembering someone in particular, and you would like to share that name with us, please do so. In this moment of memory, our griefs and our sympathies are mingled. Loving God, we praise your name by affirming the lives that we must continue to live, enriched by the memories and blessings left to us by those who have died. As we turn now to page 154, and as one supportive community, we rise in body, mind, or spirit to recite Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish, this prayer about life. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei ve'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv ve'emru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam u'la'omei almaya. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh ve'yithadar ve'yitaleh ve'yithalal shmei dekudasha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma ve'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya ve'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. May the one who causes peace to reign in the high heavens cause peace to reign among us, all Israel, and all who dwell on earth. And may the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort all who are bereaved, as together we say, Amen. You may be seated. Our Closing song can be found on page 156. Page 156. Adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li'et nasa v'chefto kol azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora vehu haya vehu hoveh Vehu yihye betif ara vehu echad ve'ein sheni lehamshil lo lehachbira bli reshit bli tachlit velo ha'oz vehamisra vehu eli vechai goali v'tzor chevli be'et sarah Vehu nisi humanos li menat kosi beyom ekra biyado afkid ruchi be'et ishan ve'aira ve'im ruchi geviati Adonai li velo ira. And for the honor of the morning Kiddush, I'll invite Rhonda Cohen to come back. Page 167. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam beini Yisrael od hi leolam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat, Shabbat, vayinafash, Shabbat, Shabbat, vayinafash, Shabbat, Shabbat, vayinafash, Shabbat, Shabbat, vayinafash. Al Kain berach Adonai et Yom HaShabbat vayikadshehu. Therefore, the Eternal One blessed the seventh day and called it holy. Together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. L'chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai. Can we do the second part, or is that not Friday night? Only Friday night?
Yeah, or like the afternoon if we were going to sit down and have like a big lunch. Yeah.
I didn't know the rules.
The morning Kiddush is a little more abbreviated. Let's sing. Let's do the whole thing. Yeah, let's do it. Baruch, it's a bad time to bless God, right? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit Ki hu yom techila lemikra e kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim ki banu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha b'yahava uvratzon Inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Chaim again.
Chaim,
There
okay.
you go. And now we got the Motzi.
Okay. Baruch
Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Hamotzi lechem min haaretz Shabbat Shalom So Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Thank you, Rhonda, for all of your help this morning and accepting all the honors and getting everything ready for the service. And thank you to Mark for technologically making it possible for all of you online to join us in whatever way you were able this morning. Yeah, usually Mark would write Shabbat Shalom now, but even though he wrote it, it didn't go. So, but thank you for sharing Shabbat with us anyway, and I wish you a great rest of your Shabbat. Take care.